Welcome back, everybody, to another episode, Volume 5, Week 5 of Foodtrucker Magazine. If you guys have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so, because the more subscribers we can get, the sooner I can change the damn page name. So in case you don't know, YouTube has a policy that requires you to have 100 followers before they allow you to change your page name to an official business page. So if you are tuning in, if we have mentioned anything over the past 5 weeks that have helped you figure out some of the food trucking business, please just click subscribe so we can change the page name. I'm tired of looking at all them numbers. So with us tonight, everything went off without a hitch. We got camera, we got audio, we got, big screen. And it didn't take a whole lot of stress on Gnarly Gnome. My cohort, Food Truck Brit's in the house, and he's catching on to everything we need to do. So
making it happen.
I'm a much happier camper this week.
Making it happen.
I was last week. I was a little stressed out.
You should have heard me yelling at my laptop at home, and my poor 4-year-old. Why is Daddy mad? Why is Daddy mad at his computer?
It's like, yeah, it's like
watching Daddy's friend didn't get this right.
It's like watching a really bad, inexperienced porno star. No, don't do it that way. Do it that. No. So welcome, everybody, to another week. Tonight we got a special guest coming on with us that's going to discuss some of the funding abilities, because one of the biggest questions when anybody gets into the food trucking business is, where in the heck do I come up with all the money? So depending on, whether or not you've got a well-devised business plan, will depend on whether or not you can get any money from your bank, which is highly unlikely.
Isn't that the question people have in every aspect of their life? Where the hell am I going to get the money?
Yeah, I think so. By the way, shout out to Tony Meyer down at Dogberry Brewing. Kind enough to provide with some of the Zesty from their 6-year anniversary. And shout out to him for making it through COVID. Understand he had a pretty bad case of it, and did not know that. So it was glad to see him up on his feet and celebrating his 6 years down there at Dogberry Brewing, which I think Friday night when we went was Rock and Roll's food truck, which is one of our members. They were down there serving, and from what I understand, they did pretty well. We do have the studio line, which will be open after our first guest tonight. So if you hear anything about the conversation regarding funding that you'd like to comment on or know more about, you can always give us a call at 513-480-2290. And those lines will stay open until about 8 o'clock tonight. So tonight we are going to be shortening our podcast by 1 hour, and there's reason for that. A couple of us got some things that we got to get to tonight. So we're going to go from 7 to 8, and hopefully we can pack this first hour full of information about ways that you can get funding for your food truck. We're going to bring on Wanda Walker-Smith from the Hamilton County Small Business Development Center. She'll be calling into the studio here shortly, and we're going to bring her on and figure out all of the available assets that they have for anybody getting into the food truck business. So I know one of the things that, is reiterated over and over and over, especially on all the Facebook forums and Facebook groups and all that stuff to deal with food truck business is, what's your plan? What's your plan? You have to have a business plan. So you probably heard that 1,000 times before, and you're like, "Oh, I don't need a business plan. I got food.
I need one."
Yeah, I got the best food in the world. I'm gonna go out and just make a fortune. And
you mean I got to put that stuff on paper?
Yeah, you do. It's not so much for your bankers. It's not so much for the people that you want to try and attract, say, maybe an investor. It's more or less for you to give you a blueprint to follow over the first year of being in business. And what that is it basically gives you an itemized list of, here's my concept. This is what I want to do. this is what I anticipate in doing in sales, revenue, etc. And by the end of year one, this is where I want to be. And so it's yourself holding yourself accountable for getting to that first 12-month goal. And if you have it in writing, it gives you a guideline to follow to help you achieve those milestones along the way. So if you divide up the first year and you divide it into quarters, you say, look, first month through third month, I want to be here. 3 through 6, I want to be here. 6 through 9 here, and 9 through 12, I want to be here. Now you're only dealing with, 12 weeks at a time. And 12 weeks at a time will come and go really fast in the food truck business because it takes 12 weeks just to get your truck built or your trailer built or whatever. And so you can kind of break it down from that point, and it becomes a lot more manageable. When you start saying, I want to lay out a 3-year business plan, you're like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing 3 years from now. Well, you're going to be on your food truck, hopefully making money, but that's all going to be dependent on how you lay it out over the course of that, 12, 24, 36-month period. So there are a number of ways out there to get a business plan. Obviously, you can buy a template if you want to from off of the internet. You can do a Google search. There are tons of business plans out there that you can just change the terminology to fit you. But there's several key factors that I think everybody needs to include in their business plan. And the first and foremost on anything you're getting into in the food truck business is, what are you going to cook? I don't think people realize enough how important knowing exactly what you're going to try to execute in your food truck or trailer is. Not only do you have to have a unique concept, because there's so many burger trucks out there, let's say burger and fry trucks out there, and there's so many taco trucks out there, and there's so many barbecue trucks. What the heck is going to set you apart and make you different that is unique and truly yours that you can claim fame to? So you can have those standardized menus that cover all those different food genres, but you got to have something unique to you. So when Food Truck Brit and I met, I don't know, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, your concept was to just get a truck, but I've actually never heard of what your truck concept was going to, what your menu,
secret, man. I can't.
Well, you got to share.
I'm definitely not going to say it on here.
Oh, come on.
No.
You got to let it out.
I can tell you that I tell you that I love tacos.
Okay.
I do. But I also see that there's a lot of people in our area doing tacos. I mean, they're not as good as mine, but they're good. And, I don't think it's about competing on the same level as them.
Right.
If you've got higher quality product, you've got something like a niche, like you're saying. If I do a taco truck, it's not just going to be hard tacos or soft tacos. It's not. It'll be something cool.
So
be looking for it.
Speaking of tacos,
we all know that it's not hard or soft tacos. You got to go the double decker with both. The hard taco with the soft. I mean, we all know that, right?
You could do that. Yes.
Kudos to the Taco Bell employee that invented that shit.
Man, those guys are just sitting around the gorditas, threw it in the fryer.
Yeah,
that looks good.
They're like, it's kind of slow tonight, man. Let's wrap a soft shell around a hard shell. Yeah. Ooh, dude, that tastes pretty good.
Man, that's great.
Yeah, too bad he didn't patent that and get royalties on that.
Let's see if these guys in the drive-thru will eat this.
Yeah. Hey, we got something new you want to try? It's 2:30, dude. I'll take anything. What do you got?
But I think back to your point of the business plan, everybody's got to have one. If you don't have a plan, then you're shooting from the hip. Some people are super successful shooting from the hip. I mean, I've met a few of them out there with food trucks that I asked, hey, do you have a business plan? Yeah, man. It was like,
in my
get
head.
The truck, get the food, cook the food, so, but I do think you're right. If you take the time to sit down and formalize a business plan, forget about investors. It's just for yourself.
Exactly.
Guideline. So.
And I don't think a lot of people hold that to themselves, as a disciplinary measure.
Right.
And they should, it's just something you got to sit down and take the time to do.
I think it also helps you kind of explore some of the aspects that maybe you don't think about day to day. When you have this idea, I want to start a food truck, you think about probably the first thing you think about is what am I going to cook, and then it goes from there. But you don't think about other trucks in your area, and is this something that's actually viable considering your customer, and to write out a business plan, you're really digging in and exploring some of those other things and making sure that it all fits together into one cohesive plan.
Absolutely forget something.
Sure.
I mean, that's why writing it down on the business plan, even if it's just a 1 or 2 page plan, it's still written down.
Yeah. I mean, once you have the concept of what you want to serve, now you've got to go into the realm of formulating everything that's going to be your brand. And, that is a daunting process for a lot of people because they don't understand how to formulate a logo, how to come up with a logo that's best going to represent what they serve. Are there going to be color schemes that go along throughout all of my stuff? Am I going to have the same, branded material through menus, through business cards, through trailer wrap, truck wrap, all that stuff? People don't really put a lot of thought into that. But honestly, when you see something that's given a lot of thought rolling down the road and you look at that, you're like, damn, what's that? I want to go eat there.
And so does everybody else.
So does everybody else. And so when you're at an event and there's, 25 other food trucks, the one that's got the best wrap and the best looking graphics and the best looking, audio visual and all that kind of stuff.
Some online ordering while you're standing in line.
Guess who's lining up at that truck?
It really goes. I mean, it goes both ways too. If you don't put enough thought into it, people will turn and go to the other truck that's there too. Maybe I think that I'm probably weird that sometimes I'm attracted to the truck that looks a little chaotic, like they just kind of piece shit together just to see what's going on there. But people like my wife or my parents or something, they're not going to eat at a truck like that. They're going to the shiniest, cleanest looking truck and the thing that looks the most put together.
Right.
The better package.
But in all fairness, to those people that come from, not so shiny and bright trucks, sometimes have the best damn food that you can find out on the street. Yeah. So it's not always, but it does go, if you're going to do this as a business to where you want to be able to support not only yourself, your family, and make it a career, if you will, because you can make a lot of money in the food business in a very short period of time, enough so that you can, in 7-10 years, run multiple units and retire easily.
Yeah,
if you have a concept. So,
we have our first caller.
I do believe that's probably Miss Wanda. Yeah, so we're gonna bring Wanda on, and we're gonna talk about all of the resources that are available to you, literally free of charge. And this is what kills me. Is that I have this conversation with the director of Hamilton County Small Business Development Center quite often, and the resources that are available are used very seldom, and it just blows my mind.
It's a shame.
I'm like, you have all this resource available to people, and nobody's taking advantage of it.
What I'm curious to how many of those people just don't know that it's there.
Well, they probably don't, which is why we have Wanda on tonight. So how are you doing, Miss Wanda?
Hi, what a great lead-in. I appreciate that.
I'm glad you were able to take some time tonight and get on the podcast with us, and we can talk all about everything that you guys have available to, anybody out there looking for help starting a business, especially in the street food business. And it's not all the resources that you guys have aren't really limited to just street food. It's for brick and mortars. It's for, anything else. So let's get into that conversation because, I've been a huge advocate and friend of yours now for a couple of years. And since we did the food truck seminar last year, and again, all the resources that are available are seldom getting used. And so we want to try and bring that to the forefront and let people know what's going on.
And that's what I appreciate you doing that, because I think that the Hamilton County SBDC, which stands for Hamilton County Small Business Development Center, we're almost like the well-kept secret. We have a wealth of services and access to, when I say funding, it's not that the SBDC has funding, but our resource partners, those who support the program, has the funding. So we have direct access to them. With the SBDC, I have roughly 8 consultants that provide individual one-on-one counseling services for free. And I know from our conversation and our involvement, you've been very active in sending people my way, and I appreciate that. Our counselors are highly knowledgeable. They come from the business environment themselves. We can help anyone from startup to scale up, and that's from your soup to nuts, and everything in between.
So, if somebody comes to you, I mean, just kind of, let's just take somebody that says, "Hey, I want to start a food truck, or I want to start a brick and mortar, but I don't know where to start." Give us a walkthrough of what that client would do. I mean, obviously, I'm looking at the site right now. Let's just start there. So it's HCDC. Is that correct?
No, that's one of our resource partners.
Okay.
It would be SBDC.
So Hamilton County Development Center is just a resource partner of yours.
Right. They're like one of the financial arms that would do like the lending and help with the loans.
So then what is the first step? So that, like, we're going to put links to all this on our website so that people can, that come to us and say, "Hey, where do we start?" We can just say, click on this link and you can be directed over to Miss Wanda and she'll help you out. So
that's the very first step. I'll give you that link that they would go to, and I'll give you the steps, and you can share that out with your audience.
Absolutely.
What they would do is go to clients, so it's client with an S, .ohio SBDC ohio.gov.
Okay, nobody's going to remember that, so we will take the link and we will put it on our website with a direct link to you. But
and with that, when they click on that website, they're going to see a group of people sitting around a table, and there's some tabs above them. They go to location.
I thought you were going to say a group of people sitting around a table drinking beer, because that's us right now.
Oh, okay. Well, picture that group of people minus the beer.
Okay.
But they will see that group. Above them, there are some tabs. The tab that they want to go to is called location. And it'll drop down, and you want to go to Cincinnati Union. And as soon as you click on Cincinnati Union, the registration form will open up, and it will take you all of 2 minutes to fill that out. So and go ahead.
Is that just a lead generator then for you to get that person in touch with the right counselor?
Once they register for that, my assistant, Myra Humphreys, will end up getting a notification that someone has registered. And at this point, I need to stop a moment and make sure that all of your listeners know there are no fees charged for our services. Occasionally, for like workshops, we may charge a minimum fee or something. But for any of your one-on-one counseling, there are no fees charged for those services. We have clients who have been with the SBDC for 12 years. and they're still utilizing the services because they know if they went somewhere else, they'd have to pay professional fees for the type of services that we provide. And with the SBDC, the services that we provide receive funding from the state of Ohio, from the federal government, and from the National Urban League. All of those cover what our expenses are to provide services. And if you think about it, those are your tax dollars at work.
Right. So
why not have them work for you?
I mean, when I look at some of these Facebook groups that are online that are geared towards the food truck industry, I constantly see people asking questions about how do I do this? How do I do that? One of those things is obviously, how do I incorporate? How do I create a business plan? How do I, and a lot of people will refer them to LegalZoom as far as the documents are concerned.
Oh.
And I keep trying to beat myself over the head trying to God, why would you pay a fee to download LegalZoom documents when you could just use this resource that's just free of charge?
Thank you.
But you have to do the legwork. You got to make that
Right.
application, that initial reach out, and then once that's done and they get into your system, from there you guys can take and guide them through every step and every phase free of charge. So I don't have to hire an attorney. I don't have to hire and pay legal fees for documents. I don't have to, Why don't people use it, Wanda?
I don't know. Like I said, I think at times we're the well-kept secret because those business entities that use us, they do well. They do very well. And they know that, okay, that's money that I get to keep in my pocket that I don't have to pay out. All I have to do is call up my SBDC coach, and that SBDC coach will coach them through that process. Now, there are two things that we cannot do by law because we can't give you direct legal advice.
Right.
Because we're not attorneys. We're not licensed as attorneys. We have our certification as business advisors from Kent State University. And we had to go through a rigorous process for that because they're all grad level classes that we have to complete in order to be able to call ourselves a certified business advisor.
Right.
You're not going to find that everywhere. And we have to be able to back up what we're putting out there. As I said, some of the companies that are in our database, they've been with us for like 12 years because they started out a startup business. They were able to scale up, and all along that way, they're utilizing the services of the SBDC.
Gotcha.
And rightfully so, because the tax dollars are paying for those services.
So I know that, we are geared towards food trucks, but this can apply to anybody looking to start any kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a question.
Yeah. I mean, if you had someone who said, well, I want to start a web design business. Granted, we are not experts in that field, but we are smart enough to know to hitch our wagon to experts that can provide that type of service.
Is that a segue to our April 18th and 19th class? Because that's a pretty good one if you did that on purpose.
You're doing great, Wanda.
Oh, just a little.
We'll get to that in a moment. So with us, I have the Gnarly Gnome, who is a friend of ours and a technical advisor to the show, and he's got a question he'd like to ask.
So at what point in the process of planning business do people typically come to you? Is it once they've got this business plan together, or do you have people coming to you that are just like, man, I really want to start this food truck. I have this idea. Where do I go?
I will give you an example of where people come to us. I had a client, which she's a client now, but she originally walked in the door, and I was saying, okay, how can we help you? This is pre-COVID, so we could still see people face to face. But she walked in the door, and we're sitting in the conference room, and I'm like, well, how can I help you today? And she said, I want to start a business. And I'm like, okay, well, let's find out what it is that you're wanting to start. And she held her hand up, and she said, I have 5 businesses. And of course, I thought, okay, there's a camera watching me somewhere to see, okay, how's she going to react to this? And I asked her, I said, you have what? And she, once again, emphasized with her hands, I have 5 businesses. So that kind of gives you an indication of where some of them come in. And our point at that initial consultation is to help, not to shoot down their dreams. That's the furthest thing.
Have to help
But
eliminate 4 and focus on one.
Gently ease them down.
Which one's your favorite?
But to help them focus on you. If you spread yourself across trying to get 5 businesses up and running at the same time, you're setting yourself up for failure. But if you take the time, and this is where the counselors come in, okay, let's talk about each one of them. Let's figure out which one is going to be more profitable to you, because that's why you go in business, for profit. To make a profit, turn around, sell the business. If your profit is skyrocketed. So, but it's our initial job is to listen to what that particular client is concerned about, because it could be to them, or to us, it could be sounding like pie in the sky.
Right.
To them, it's something that's near and dear to them, but you have to bring them to the point where they focus on, okay, I can start this one. I can put my energy into getting that one going. Once you get that one up and going, you can add another one, and so on. And she could definitely have gotten to her 5 businesses, but she needed to focus on one.
So did she successfully launch one?
No, we're still working on that one. She's a
still narrowing it down.
Okay.
Well, no, we got her narrow it down to one, but she hasn't. The other thing that we stress to the client,
is it a food truck?
No, I don't. I don't know that she would make it in that industry.
Oh, that was number 4 on her list.
That was 4.
But we, as I said, we don't want to shoot anyone's dreams down. But we're like, you came to us for advice, so I've listened to what you've shared, and now I have to give you some feedback, and it's up to that client,
right,
to take it or leave it. But we do not build their business plans for them. We help them, because if we do it, that's my business plan. If we show them how to do it, it becomes more meaningful.
Absolutely.
To them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you could teach a man, or you could give a man a fish, or teach him how to fish.
Right. Yep.
I
say it every day.
Perspective,
lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, you know?
Right.
Well, the thing about what I've seen from people who have ideas to start a business and are willing to put themselves out there and start a business, usually there's lots of ideas bouncing around in their heads. And that's just kind of a nature of people who are entrepreneurial.
Virgo.
And so sometimes you need that person, though, that can help kind of guide you and kind of smack you in the head and
rein
you know,
in.
say, you know, when you go to the fair and they're leading the pigs around the ring and they're smacking them with those little canes to get them to go the way they. Sometimes you need that person that stands behind you with the little cane smacking you to get you to go kind of in a straight path.
Stay in your path. Stay in your path.
It's
This is a good analogy, no?
super valuable.
I'm really interested, Wanda. I'm really interested to hear one of the craziest ideas that you've ever come across for a business that they've ever come in and had.
Oh, there's a lot of those.
We can't put her on a spot like that, dude. That's not fair to her position.
Yeah, I think if I shared it, it might give away their identity.
Yeah. we won't do that to you. Sorry.
Thank you.
But even
we'll let y'all.
But the idea of food trucks, think about that. Like that first person that said, you know what? Like I really like cooking. I'm gonna put it in an old mail truck. I'm gonna drive places and serve people food out of the back of this truck. Yep. That's crazy. Like that's a crazy idea when it first happened. Every idea, every successful idea is crazy.
Yep. If you go on the Google and you look under images and you type historic food trucks, you know what comes up? Chuck wagon.
Chuck wagons.
Yeah.
Swear to God. And you think about it, that was the first food truck, was the chuck wagons that went on the cattle drives back in the mid 1800s that followed them around. And,
rawhide.
Yep. Fed all the cowboys. You know, I was like, that was a food truck. It just had wagon wheels. That's all.
But with that, since you brought up the food trucks again, I have to commend Tony for the workshop that he and I did almost a little over a year ago. And I was so impressed with the level of expertise that he shared. He didn't come in saying, okay, I'm going to talk to you about how to buy a food truck and then go to Costco, get some frozen burgers and open your door. He did not do that. He ended up bringing experts that person who woke up that morning saying, I want to start a food truck, probably did not even entertain the thought that, oh, I got to go through health inspection. I have to have a license. Oh, I guess I need to know how to turn the heat on for the stove that's inside my food truck.
We get that all the time.
So those kind of things where a lot of times when people wake up with that dream that I want to do this, that's the time when they need to pick up the phone if they're serious and call the SBDC.
Yeah.
Range appointment, as I was referencing earlier. Once they register on our site, within a 24-hour period, they will receive a call.
That's
and
awesome.
If they don't
that's
receive
pretty
that call
fast turnaround time right there.
24, yes.
I mean,
within 24 business hours. Yeah.
Bill, credit card.
My wife doesn't even respond to my texts that quick. She usually takes her a couple days.
Wanda, that's real quick.
Well, we're serious about what we do. And to get to that client, as I said, it's not like something where it's like the used car dealer who I've got to rush and get that client so I can get the money. We're not getting any money. Right. We're going to do our best to help that client get money, get access to marketing. We're going to do everything that we can for that. So that's our purpose. And when you come into this kind of industry, you have to first off have to be a good listener. And you will hear some of the most bizarre stories, and you have to keep a straight face.
It's going to be tough.
And you will also hear some of the most rewarding stories where someone said, well, I know it was going to hit me. It was going to hurt me tax-wise, but I took money out of my 401k, and I ended up purchasing a food truck, and now I'm doing good. Mm-hmm. And I can take care of those taxes, no problem. That's the kind of client that tells you, okay, from my gut, I'm in this.
Right.
I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity to get as much information, as much access to any loans and grants that I fall within that category. I'm going to take every advantage that I can of that.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that are determined. The ones who don't want to do the work are the ones where it's kind of like, okay. And that's where you have to do the tough love talk with them. And it's like, okay, I've been working with you 5 weeks now. And
you don't have your business
haven't.
plan done yet.
And you
don't
still
even-
have 5 businesses that you're trying to start.
So when you hear stuff, like that, that's when you ask, are you serious? And then some people are the type that what they're calling a business is really a hobby.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
And yes,
Tire kickers,
and with a business, you've got to put that sweat equity
right?
into it, so that okay, I did this to get this.
Right.
This is mine. I've followed the steps. I've done the directions, and I'm well on my way. Those are the kind that where you heard me reference earlier that we'd have some clients who have been with us for 12 years. And with that, they are multi-million-dollar companies that could easily pay experts for the type of services that they get from us for free.
But that's why they're multi-million-dollar companies. They're like,
Exactly.
it's not paying $400 an hour for an attorney. Just call these guys.
So exactly.
Yeah.
So they're smart.
Exactly. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, if it's there and it's available, I'm using it.
Exactly. So what Myra would do when you after you've registered and you hit submit, she's going to get that electronic notification. She's going to personally do her best to call you. Now, if you don't answer your phone, part of that registration is providing us with your email address.
Right.
So she's going to reach out to you that way if she can't get you to answer your phone, and let you know that, we've received your registration. We would like to get you set up with a business counselor so that we can follow through on what it is that you're wanting to do with your company.
Okay. So now that I get
Mhm.
this introduction and I have me a counselor assigned,
Mhm.
obviously being that we're in COVID, we're not going to meet in person, or are you still meeting one-on-one in person?
No, I have 2 counselors out of the 8 that will occasionally do the in-person, but they can't do it at the office. So they'll meet at a restaurant somewhere where they can do the 6-foot
Right.
distancing. That is not something that I require of them. And I make sure that I reinforce that with them because per the state, our offices are physically closed.
Gotcha.
So I'm talking to you right now from my 4th bedroom, which is now my home office.
My gotcha. Yeah, I would love to have you sit next to me talking on the mic, but that's okay. This works too,
Yeah. So with that, I let them know you do that at your own risk. That is not required of you to do your job. We're hoping and praying that, soon we get back to the situation where we're meeting that client face to face, where because there's something about being able to shake that person's hand, look that person in the eye, as opposed to they're trying to figure out how to look at you through the Zoom, and you're trying to do the same thing. So everybody's eyes are just going all over the place. But hopefully, within the next few months, things will have quieted down enough to where we can actually get back to that type of interaction. But until then, it's either via the phone or Zoom.
Yeah. So
or, go ahead.
I meet with a counselor.
Mhm.
And from that point, we formulate a strategy on, I'm assuming, how to move forward to the next step. And obviously,
Mhm.
you and I have had this discussion multiple times. Formulating a business plan should be first and foremost on everybody's list. Not
Mhm.
so much to give you, the person I'm talking to, a clearer picture of my vision, but to give me a vision that I can hold myself to over a period of months. And so,
Right.
but it also,
And that business plan's going to evolve.
oh yeah, definitely. But
Mhm.
it also gives me a reality check, I guess you would say. In
Mhm.
6 months, if
Mhm.
I have not achieved the milestones that I thought I was going to achieve, that I had written out and that's where your business plan will change.
Mhm.
But it holds your feet to the fire, so to speak, to make you get
Right.
out and accomplish the things that you outlined in your business plan. Plus, it gives you a clear picture, I think, of where
Mhm.
you want to be and where you want to go. So,
You hit the nail on the head with the hammer with
so
that.
once you get the
Uh,
business plan
mhm.
developed, obviously you're kind of the tip of the umbrella at the top, and then you have all these resources underneath you that make all the, you know, I guess you would say, provide you with all the different, aspects of being able to make that business plan.
Right. And we work with, it's not everybody coming through the door doesn't need a business plan. With the environment that we're in right now, they need immediate funding. Those are businesses that have been around for a long time. So if they have a business plan, we will gladly review that, make recommendations. We're not updating it, as I said before. When we start doing that type of, having that type of involvement in your business plan, it becomes our business plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I'm thinking as opposed to what you're thinking.
Right.
So it has more value to that particular business owner when they know that, okay, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. And what one of the other very important, crucial pieces of having a business plan is if you ever want to obtain like a loan from a regular financial institution, not the types that we're seeing right now where you hear about the PPP loan and the EIDL.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking for your business plan.
Right.
They're saying you had to be in business for a year in the first place, show a profit to get either one of those
Right.
type of loans. But if you get to the point where, I know some people would say, okay, well, I bank at Fifth Third Bank, or I bank at PNC, or I bank at Stockyard, I bank at First National. Well, I want to go to them and get a loan. Well, if you've been working with your business counselor at the SBDC, we're going to say, let us review the business plan. Let me see your financials, because everything I'm asking you for is what the bank
will. So,
and I come from that environment.
right. So let's talk about, I don't really want to go into this as much as I really want to at a later date, which we plan to do because you and I are setting some other stuff up. But
Exactly.
let's talk about the funding aspect, because that is the topic of tonight's episode. And we have, I was talking with Britt, Food Truck Britt, earlier tonight, and we had creative ways to come up with funding for food trucks that cannot get traditional bank loans, that cannot get funding from other sources. They just don't. Let's face it, but a lot of people just don't have that personal credit history
Right.
that is required by all of these financial institutions and entities to gain a business loan on a business. So it's a shame, in my opinion, that they actually, I can see where you have to say, from the history of this person's personal credit history, yes, they pay their bills on time. Yes, they have done, taken out a car loan that's been paid off or paid on time. Yes. I get that. They got to show a proven track record of being able to pay. But there's other funding methods out there that don't require the traditional percentage back on bank loans. So I'm not at whatever the going rate is right now, 6%, 8%, whatever it is. And then you've got the loan sharks out there that are 22 to 24%, and there's quite a few of those out there that are predatory lenders that go after the food truckers because they see them as easy targets.
Right.
Because they want to realize their dream so bad that they're willing to get into a lease agreement, and I've had a couple of these folks, in my life recently that, had to pay that.
Did they bottom out?
Yeah, they had to pay that 22 and that 24%. And obviously the margins are tight as they are. You can't really afford to do that, but there's other funding out there. So let's talk about that. What are the resources that fall under your umbrella where that type of funding is available that you don't have to go to a traditional bank?
Well, as you mentioned, there are various resources out there. The predatory lenders, we don't recommend them.
No,
So
I would hope not.
No,
That'd be a bad part of the business plan, Wanda.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to hear their names saying, well, as a last resort, go to so-and-so.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. We would rather work with you. If it meant taking another 6 months and getting things in place, we'd rather you do that so that when you open up your business, it is your business.
Right.
It's not someone that your profits you have to turn over to them.
Right.
Because you didn't make enough to keep some for yourself. So then you realize, okay, I'm not really working for myself.
Right.
So we don't want you, and we would not encourage you to go in that direction. But there are various loans as well as grants. Right now, we have, if you can picture, like at the starting gate of the Kentucky Derby, that all the horses are behind that gate waiting to actually get out and run. That's where we are right now with a number of grants. I'd mention them if I could, but because it has not been
I got you
released, I can't name them.
It's coming on a future episode.
Yes.
So let's circle back to what we had talked about earlier that you had referred to about the web design business that somebody might want to start. That was kind of a parlay into something that you and I have set up for April. So we're going to do a seminar over a 2-day period, April 19th, 18th and 19th, I do believe is when we decided on, in which we are going to take people through the process of building
19th and 20th.
19th and 20th of building out their website.
Yeah, otherwise we'd be doing it on a Sunday.
Well, I work 7 days a week. So 19th and 20th, we're going to do it from in the morning hours, both days, 4-hour period. And both of those days, we are going to cover building out a website from scratch. And so on those 2 days, that is something that you guys have reached out to myself to kind of spearhead and teach people how to do it. Now, obviously, I have some experience in building out sites. I've probably a dozen of them that are under my moniker right now that I control and edit and help other businesses manage. And so I've got some experience doing it. By no means am I a master, but I know exactly what needs to be done on the side where you can have a shopping cart. You can have, I can show people what needs to be done, but I don't want to teach people in other words, I'm not in the business of being a builder for sites and managing those sites for people. I want to teach people how to do it themselves, because that is what the courses that we're going to kind of set up is showing people how to use resources that are out there on the web to build your own website, to manage your own website, to change your own content, change your own pictures, upload your own videos, share your own social media. All that stuff is a part of, and we get it all the time. Do I really need a website? With all the social media channels that are out there nowadays, why can't I just use Facebook, or why can't I just use Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat, or all these other social media platforms are pretty much what I'm using right now for my, in this sense, for food trucks. But you absolutely need to have a website. And in my opinion, if it's nothing more than just a dynamic landing page where consumers can be redirected to their social media outlets, you definitely have to have a website. Now, some people get all comprehensive and they put, everything in the world on that website. Personally, I don't think, unless you're into a major multi-million-dollar corporation, that you need all that information out there.
One page.
I think, a 2 to 3 page, especially if you're in the food truck business, is more than enough for a food truck to get the point across that I offer, catering. I do this. This is my menu. Here's how to get a hold of me. That's simple. But then you get into the trucks now that want to integrate all of their online ordering processes. They want to be able to link, their menu from their site directly over to their online ordering platform. There's just a number of different things that we can teach people. So we are looking forward to being a part of that with you. I'm excited to be able to share that knowledge and that information with people, because once people see how it's done, they're going to be like, oh, well, that's not so bad. I can do that. I think I can do that.
Well, we are looking forward to it as well. We've had a number of clients who, during their coaching sessions, they've shared that with their coaches, and the coaches have come back to me to where they need someone who can help them with a website. So one of the things that I give credit to my consultants about is that if they don't know it, if that's not in their wheelhouse, they know the expert to go to.
Yeah.
So it's not that, they turn that client over and say, well, I can't help you anymore. No, let me look into that, get back with you. And then if it's a thing where it has to be referred to somebody who does the web design, that's us helping that individual's business grow by making that connection. But that business can still come to us for other services.
Well, I think that we have been able to get the point across to people that are tuning in tonight that there is a resource right here in Greater Cincinnati that is completely free of charge for you to use if you want to get into business for yourself. So
do it.
I'm going to say this really, really slow.
Do it.
Do it. No, we will put the link on our website, and we will make sure that that's shared out via our social media channels on how to get in touch with you guys. And maybe somebody out there listening is looking to start something, and maybe this will help them get on that path to being successful here in next 6 months to a year. Who knows?
I appreciate that.
All it takes is one, right?
You got it. That's a start. That's a start.
Well, I thank you for coming on. You and I have other conversations that will be, again, a part of this podcast down the road once we're ready to make those announcements. I'm pretty excited about them. Stuff we've been working on. So I will have you back again soon. And I think we will be talking with you actually, probably sooner than later, because, it's just nothing we can share tonight, unfortunately. It kind of sucks.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
But we know it's out there.
Yes, we do.
It's coming. It's out there.
Yep. All right.
Well,
thanks, Ms. Wanda.
It's been a pleasure, Tony. Okay. Take care now.
I'll
Bye-bye.
talk to you tomorrow. Bye. So that is Miss Wanda Walker-Smith right there. Good to have her on the program.
Sweet lady.
I just don't, I'm out of word, speechless sometimes when it's like you just want to take a hammer over some people's heads.
The cane.
The cane. Yeah,
whack
we're
them in the
gonna
right
shove 'em.
direction. It's wild.
It's
I really had no idea
I
that some of those
know.
things exist for free.
I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
crazy.
educated tonight as well.
So last year we did the first food truck seminar ever held in Cincinnati. And we partnered with the African American Chamber of Commerce to do that. But the problem with it was the place that we held it was at the new African American headquarters down on Gilbert. And there was only limited space. We could only fit so many people. And this was pre-COVID. So we were able to get, I think we had 42 available seats.
Oh, you'd get arrested for that now.
Yeah. Yeah. There was 42 available seats, and I think we had 45 registrations, something like that. And we were able to bring in, people from all different aspects of the restaurant industry. So we had Rachel from the Incubator Collective over in, she came in and speak. And we had David Faust, and we had, all these different entities that I reached out to were able to come in and share their business and their knowledge about what they can provide and what they can do on the food truck side of things, or even on the food industry side of things. And it was really great because we did an 8-hour day. But again, out of that 42 people, I know for a fact 3 of them that went into business.
That's great.
Out of that seminar. And I thought, it'd be really cool to be able to do that on a mass scale.
Yeah.
And so that is something we are working on setting up right now, to where it will be a Zoom scenario, but it will be open to a lot more people because we won't be limited by where we host it. So that's going to be pretty exciting to announce. And I know that we are going to
Sounds like you just announced it.
Yeah, I think you pretty much just announced
well, not the
it.
details and the date and the registration process and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's coming. So it will be very soon.
Let me know. I can help you guys out with that.
I absolutely will. So we were going to limit tonight to an hour podcast. We do have a few other things that we wanted to discuss. I think we had a caller that wanted to call in after.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that the line's open now, Ryan. If you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ryan O'Neill from Stellar wanted to give a buzz and talk a little bit about.
He might need you to throw the number up on the chat for him.
I did. It's 800-574.
No. It's 513-480-2290. You're reading a lot.
he just commented with 3 number symbols.
513-480-2290.
Sorry, man. I was working on my 3rd job.
Your 3rd job. He's working hard towards gaining that food truck.
4th business.
I'm gonna start 4 businesses so I can start my food truck.
I'm really curious. I know she couldn't call them out, but God, it would have been so nice to hear a really good, good one.
I know. Focus on one, Obi-Wan.
Only imagine the stuff that comes into the office, that what used to come in the office. Now it's a phone call. But
Yeah.
still, it's like,
Yeah.
how do you tell somebody their idea sucks?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just what shocks me is
Ryan says, say again. repeat the phone number for him.
type it in.
Somebody give him the phone number.
513.
I don't know. It's 513 something. I think there's a 4 in there.
480.
2290. That's the right one. I swear.
Yeah. No, it's like really big right here on our website. See, Foodtrucker Magazine.
There it is.
I'm confusing him.
That's pretty far on the.
Zoom that in.
Yeah.
Can you
I
do
bet if I
that?
copy and paste it.
No, man. Just hold control and scroll up.
C.
513-480. You pulled it off the screen. Now I can't tell.
22.
Something with the 2.
If any of the 7 of you would like to call, that would be great.
There we go. That'll help.
It is in the feed.
That's why my drunk line is really easy to remember. It has a word in it.
Beer.
567 drink.
Well, what does 2290 come out to? Does anybody got the letters on that we can make up a word? Hey there, Mr. Ryan. What's happening, brother?
you fouled me up with the 800 number straight, and I couldn't figure
my
out
bad.
what you guys were saying.
My bad, dude.
Trying to type stuff in and like couldn't get it right.
Sorry, we're drinking.
Tony changes the number all
Yeah,
the
I've
time.
only had one 12-ounce beer.
Uh-huh.
What's happening, brother? I
Um,
know you're pretty moving along with your brick and mortar project. What's up with that?
Not to get too much into that. I kind of wanted to get back to what the episode was about tonight. But we're running behind. We had zoning issues, and then we had a phase 1 environmental fail, so we're on to phase 2.
Isn't that always the
which-
name of the game? Just running a little bit behind where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in it, but I'm getting back on track now. I'm like not gonna like punch a wall and rip it down. But in any case, no, I really want to talk about what you guys were talking about tonight, which was, the business plan. Like, there are free people out there. We use one for our brick and mortar. Like, they are government funded, like all that stuff. Use them. Go out there and use. There's plenty of them out there that will just come in and tell you what to do. You have to do the legwork. It's really educational for you as a business owner to really, kind of get you started. But beyond that, it's like the business plan part is really, really important. Our truck's name is Stellar Street Eats, and we did that because we didn't know where we were going. Like, we had no business plan. We bought a truck that we didn't wrap, and we've been piecing it together ever since. And our business model has changed drastically throughout the first year into the second and third year. But there's kind of two sides of that coin. Is like, because we're not saying, oh, we serve tacos or we serve burgers, we were able to adapt. So you got to, keep that in mind.
Right.
But if you have a solid business plan, it's like, I'm selling empanadas, I'm selling tacos, I'm selling burgers. You got to roll that way for the foreseeable future. And I guess looking forward, now that I know who we are 3 years down the road, like, I can really see our future, and our business plan is solid and everything's good. So do think about that. That's really important for everybody. Like, think about where you're going and think about, how things could change, and, right down to your logo. Like, make sure you know who you are, at least on some level. So if you do have to pivot, it's not a hard pivot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, am I preaching?
Story comes
I feel like
first.
I'm
Isn't
preaching.
that like what we talked about last week, or what you guys talked about last week while I was yelling at the computer and nobody could hear me? Story comes first. Like, know who you are. Like, know your story, know what this is all about, and then bring the other things in to fall into place with that. And I think a business plan is a big part of that, knowing who you are. It helps you get that down on paper and express who you are to other people.
Gnarly Numb, I'm glad you brought that back up, because our logo is totally based off of our past together, me and my wife. Like, every single detail is incorporated, from the seafoam green stars to the name to the text. Like, everything is like brought in, and like, it has a story.
Yeah.
Ask us about it, we'll tell you. You might need a minute, but it's basically our life together,
Right.
yeah,
That's a
you gotta
good
have
point. I
story.
mean, there was a gentleman that we had on, and I don't know if you tuned in last week, but he was able to share the story of their child being lost.
Was it David?
Yeah.
I heard about it.
Hudson
Yeah.
Brant's. Yeah.
And
Heard it.
prior to him divulging that here on the show, I didn't know that at all, and so now I know that the name of his business, Hudson Brant's, is the name of his lost child.
Yeah.
And
That means a lot more now.
But
it
even
does.
but
It
even
does.
even
it's a story that will stick in my head.
even if, like, to your customers, your company name doesn't mean anything, the fact that it does to you as a company
Right. Makes a
keeps
difference.
you on some kind of a track. It keeps you centered to who you guys are as a company,
Right.
and that that is way bigger than your customers understanding your story. You
Being
can
true to yourself.
you can try to always
Yeah.
tell them your story, but you knowing that story is so much more valuable. And just having that thing that constantly centers you, the other person with the cane that's smacking you every single day and reminding you
Not the wife.
who you are, and like why you do this and why things are the way they are in your business. That's what it's all about.
Well, I mean, every like, let's say big corporation restaurant has a story of how they started, and you get the handbook when you show up as a busser on day one.
I remember the videos.
You know, I mean, but there is a story, and if you're a mom and pop place that is creating something like we have people that volunteer for us that genuinely like believe in our story. They believe in us as two people together, like working for something greater for our family, for our twin girls. That, you know, like we're done with working for somebody else, and we want to go out and build something. We're tired of all that. But back to the conversation you had with Wanda earlier. It's like, use these people. They are free. Like, I was surprised. Like, I had some guy come to our house, help us get our crap in order for our brick and mortar. And I was like, wow, we really winged it the first time around with the food truck. And we winged it with our pimento cheese going to retail. And now I'm like, this is more than I have time for. But they will really kick you in the butt, and they'll get you going. And I'm like, okay, back it up. These are the steps you need to take, and write them down. You got to start crossing stuff off the list.
What resource did you guys use? Did you use the
it
development?
was we did not use that one, and I'm sorry I'm blanking right now, but it was like the I'd have to look it up. It's like the Miami small business. It's a local one. It's very, obviously local, but there's several out there, and like somebody's going to point in the right direction. Ours was our banker. You guys have Wanda on tonight with your program. Ask, and you shall receive. Like, just somebody. And there's people out there that will do this stuff for you.
I mean, Cincinnati's like I won't necessarily say it's just related to technology, but the incubation system in Greater Cincinnati was, I think, named top 4 or 5 in the country as far as being the perfect place to do a startup. And so if you go down to what's been happening, in OTR on the startup scene, I mean, on the technology side, there is a boatload of activity and a boatload of funding that is available on the tech side. So I don't think Cincinnati as a whole is any stranger to startups, and I think if people just knew about or investigated the available resources that don't cost them anything, we'd have more people getting into doing and pursuing what they want to pursue, and I think part of tonight's show is to not only make them that information available to food truckers, because that's what we're about, but that also is an entity that's out there. If you don't want to get into food truck business, that's fine. The resources are still there with the same organization, and you can do whatever you want to do.
Start a tire shop.
I mean, it's free. And that just blows my mind. I'm like, okay, first time I heard of them, and I started looking at all their courses and all their, available resources and everything. I was like, wow. Why do people pay for this stuff? It's all right there for free.
Yeah, I mean, they totally give you the blueprint. I mean, you still have to put in your fair amount of work, and we've really dialed down and find somebody you like, you trust, it's communicating with you well, and they'll really just kind of lay it out for you, and then you got to get to work. Like we've talked in previous episodes, like, you can't always ask somebody else for what they think. You got to be thinking on your feet. You got to be doing what you're going to do, and have some ideas coming to the table. Because like, if you don't have ideas, then what are you doing? You're a chameleon. You're just kind of mooching off everybody else with what they think you should do. It's like, you have a brain. Go for it. Like,
some of the questions that get answered or asked in some of these Facebook groups that relate to the food truck world just blows my mind. I mean, we thought about we were talking in the shop the other day. We were working on something. And I was like, you know what? We could just make an entire 2-hour podcast and just scroll through these Facebook groups and start
I'm sure it'd be
knocking off
hilarious
some of
for-
these
for-
question comments. And I'm like, really, dude?
Should be a
Yeah, for
segment on every
people that-
episode.
Yeah, for us veterans, we'd be like, "What are you?" No, I mean, and that really gets me too. Is like because Tony, before we knew you, like we figured out the food truck to a certain point. We're like, we figured out our own, what am I trying to say? The health department,
Right,
and,
right.
we paid certain people and we went through certain steps and we had to back step a couple times and then to move forward because we ran into, you have to do this before that. But I was literally reading online for several months, like, how do I do this? And
Right.
same with Pimento, go into retail. It's like, I didn't, I think I asked you a couple questions, but it was like, for the most part, I was just reading online. I was like, how do we do this?
How
And
do I
there's
start
there's
a
a-
food truck?
Yeah.
You'll be surprised when you type that how much stuff
I'm
actually
sure.
comes up.
I'm sure
yeah.
a ton.
Not in your local area.
And-
I mean, unless you're in ours.
Yeah.
And some of it's not easy reading. And I'm a small bit reader. Like I like magazine clips. I like, the
Overviews.
news coverage on my phone. Yeah.
Ryan's a
but,
comic
Give me the
fan.
big picture. That's what I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I just want the big picture because I can figure that, once I know once I know the generalized, then I get it. You know what I mean? I got it.
Totally.
So the
Yeah, I can
retail
fill in
side,
the
I'm
gap.
with you on because, obviously, taking the Brew City Sausage Company into retail was one of the most god awful things I think I've ever had to do.
It's horrible. Don't
It
do
is. It is absolutely not an easy process. And so
It is
what
not.
blew me away was that as I was going through that process and having to jump through all those hoops and do all these different things that were required from all these retailers, I'd walk into a grocery store and I'm like, how in the hell are there 500,000 things in this grocery store to shop for? If every one of these had to go through this same process I'm going through right now, how the hell do we have anything in here to buy? I just always said that to myself walking in the grocery store. Then when I saw my product on the shelf, I was like, finally, Jesus Christ, that was painful.
Couldn't even enjoy it, could you?
No. And then we didn't make any money. So it was, that was even worse.
All I have to say at this point for anybody who wants to even go there is skip to dry offset print. Just get to there first. Don't even worry about self-made labels and doing it yourself. Like, just skip over there and spend the money.
Yeah.
Because if you go through that process, it's gonna be a lot longer.
Yeah.
A lot longer.
But when you're dealing
But,
with a food item and you're going into a retailer and a grocery store, it's just phenomenal, all the things that you have to jump through. Labeling, ingredients, profiling, barcodes, it's just, I don't know. But
You got to have it all tested and put through the state and whatever state you're in, and right down to addresses and contact information that you probably never even looked at on a container of cottage cheese or something like that. It's on there. Where was it made? It's all got to be drawn out. But listen, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I just thought I'd call in, and of course we always have long conversations. But hey, you guys have a good night. Hopefully somebody else calls in and you guys can discuss something else.
all right, brother. Thanks for calling, man.